now that you've done all that work learning how to solve quadratic equations, we're going to tell you how to do it a lot simpler and a lot easier. This is called the quadratic equation. We use this to find solutions for x when you're faced with a quadratic equation. And let me clarify a few things about this. Each quadratic equation is basically in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, if you manipulate each of the terms to make it look that way. And that means if, say, let's look at this example down here, if 12 was on this side, you have a negative 12, all you'd have to do is move everything over to where the right side equals 0, and then you should have something that looks vaguely similar or very similar to this basic formula for the equation. Now a is equal to the coefficient for this term, the x squared. X squared here appears alone, so you can assume that the coefficient is 1 out in front. So let's just write down what each one of these is. A equals 1, figured that one out. B is the coefficient for the x term. 7, and for this equation, is the coefficient. So let's go ahead and write b equals 7. And then lastly, c is the constant, whatever number is out here that does not have a variable x. So c equals 12. And note that if this was a negative 12 here, then c would equal negative 12. And if this was a negative 7x, then b would be a negative 7. So make sure you look at the sign right here in between the terms, and that will tell you whether it's a positive or a negative number. So now we've figured out what each one represents, a, b, and c. We can substitute it back into this quadratic formula, and it can show us each of the solutions. That simple. So, okay, a is 1, so let's write the same thing but plug in everything. So I'll keep this like this so you can kind of see. B is 7, so negative 7 plus or minus square root of b, which is 7 again, squared. 7 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c. And c is 12. Now, we have to finish up below. 2a, 2 times a, so 2 times 1, because a is 1, remember. Okay, so now all we have to do, now we have all the numbers in there, is just do a lot of mathematical computation. And you can have a calculator out in front to help you with some of these, which that's what I am going to do. So the first one, let's just try to get everything in this plus or minus square root simplified down. A little bit easier to work with. So we know that 49, that's 7 squared, minus 4 times 1 is just 4. So 4 times 12 is 48. 48. Okay, we got that figured out a little bit better. And we can go ahead, just so you don't forget, we'll write all the other terms that are currently within, except we can simplify this. 2 times 1, that's simply 2. So, now we've simplified a lot of it. Let's keep simplifying. Let's get rid of this. So, 49 minus 48 is 1. So you need to take the plus or minus square root of 1. Well, square root of 1 is 1, because when it appears as an equal factor twice, it equals 1. So we have negative 7, and let's take the positive square root of 1 this time. Positive 1 over 2, and this is equal to x. So x equals negative 6 over 2. And that becomes negative 3 if you simplify it all the way. So there's 1. That's when we do the positive result of, or the positive square root. Now let's do the negative, and that will show us the other solution. So x equals negative 7 minus 1 over 2. That is equal to negative 8 over 2. And that is equal to just negative 4. So we have negative 4 and negative 3 as our solutions. Let's go ahead and check these. So remember, we plug these back into the original quadratic equation and to see if they check out. So let's start with negative 3 first. I'm going to write the original right below it so that we can start plugging it in down here. It was x squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. And that's a 12 right there. Kind of messed up. So let's plug in the negative 3. Negative 3 squared plus 7 times negative 3 plus 12 equals 0. This is 9. This is a plus sign right here. Then this is negative, so 7 times negative 3 is negative 21. And lastly, you have the 12. So let's combine all these terms. 9 plus 12 is 21. 21 minus 21 equals 0. 0 equals 0. So that one works out well. That solves the equation. Let's try the last one, negative 4. So, let's get this here. Negative 4 squared plus 7 times negative 4 plus 12 equals 0. I just plugged in, there, you see it? I just plugged in the negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16, positive 16. Then we have a negative 28, 7 times negative 4. Negative 28, and lastly, plus 12 at the end. So let's go ahead and add the positives. 16 plus 12 is 28. 28 minus 28 equals 0. And that's true. 0 equals 0. So now we figured out that you can use this nice little quadratic equation. All you have to do is identify which one is A, which coefficient A, and which one's B, and which one is C. Once you figure that out, go ahead and substitute it into your quadratic equation, and you should come out with 2 different solutions that you can check. Where are the solutions? Ah, here they are. And they will hopefully solve the quadratic equation if you have plugged everything right.